Welcome back to part 2 of my interview with Brandon from MNR. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. And if you're interested in hearing more, don't forget to listen to the first part of his interview. Let's continue.
Okay. Yeah, it does seem like it could be kind of hectic trying to figure out everybody else's stuff plus your own.
Well, also at the same time, it's like, okay, so this like a new game is a good example. There's a new game coming out. Well, we have a PlayStation 5, but our capture card is kind of shit at the moment. And so now it's like that's where our unplugs came from because we don't have any overlays or anything like that. It's not because we don't want to. It's just the capture card crashes when we use it on ours. So I was like, all right, well, we can stream from the PlayStation. So make that work. Just get a
Yeah.
microphone, plug it in, and just go.
Hmm.
So that's why we have a very stripped down overlays when we use the PlayStation 5. But also, it's like if it's a new game and let's say Illy wants to play it, but Spiker wants to play it, we have to figure out who's playing that and why, or if we're going to do two different streams. It's a lot of calculus going into that.
It sounds like it. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's going on with the PS5. I had problems streaming too.
I can stream it fine on our directly from there to Twitch. I have no problems. It also
Yeah.
helps that our router is like literally wired in right next to it. So I mean, I got
Uh-huh.
no excuse. But yeah, I've not had. I think the only problem we had with the PS5 was audio from the
Really?
microphone, but that could have been technical on our end. I don't know, but I didn't catch it in time, and I was like, oh well, we got an hour of silence, so there's that.
Yeah, I couldn't stream through a capture card through it for some reason.
Yeah, that's exactly the problem we've had because it's like I think the bandwidth, and we found out especially like you have to check your capture card. Like if it's new and it says PS5, you're good to go. But if not, that might be a
Yeah, that's
problem.
exactly what happened to me. Like I had to get an Elgato capture
We're
card and
working
that
on getting
thing
one ourselves
started
for that
working.
exact reason.
Yeah.
It is also a you get what you pay for situation sometimes because we got
Yeah.
one that was like $25. Like, great, this will work. It's cheap. We can work it. And it worked fine until we realized we're slamming. So the Switch is where it came into problems because I decided one day to stream Bayonetta 1 and we were like, oh God, this is what happened. And we
Yeah.
concluded that it was just burning out.
Yeah. I mean, even one of the capture cards was like $130 and it didn't work.
Yeah. Well, that's also why we kind of started going back. That's why I started the Retro Tuesday thing at one point, was because it's like, well, I know I can at least stream retro games because it won't pass through that much data. So just
Yeah.
dug out a Dreamcast and fired it up and Retro Tuesday. So again, DIY.
Oh, yeah. Oh, nice. So what kind of like retro systems do you have?
Currently, we have Genesis, a Sega Genesis. We have a Super Nintendo, although I kind of need to work on that one because we're having some technical issues, but that's just, I got to figure it out. That's one of those weekend projects that I just haven't gotten around to. And we have a Dreamcast. I have a GameCube. I just don't have the cords to plug. Like, I don't have the power unit for that. It's just a matter of getting that. And yeah, and then if you want to get really technical, we have a PS3. We have a PS4. I guess that's now considered retro, which is so bizarre to me to say
Weird,
that
right?
word. I have a Wii U, which would technically give us a Wii also if I use that. I think that's all the systems we got. I mean, I got a collection I've built up over time.
Yeah. Yeah. So you,
Yeah.
you like to collect things like that. That's cool.
Oh yeah, we have a kid over here at 3 rackies that my wife and I have accumulated of just Blu-rays, like movies and Blu-rays that we've accumulated over time that, yeah, we have a lot of movies.
I want somebody to create something where you could connect to the internet on your retro systems and play games together.
I don't know if it's possible.
So give hackers time, I'm sure they could, but I remember back in the 90s, I think it was called X-Link, where it was like one of the first things that you could connect broadband to a console.
Oh, okay.
And you could kind of do that sort of like a LAN party, more or less, if I'm thinking right. Because I remember there was a game called Weapon Lord that was like a fighter, and you could actually play with people on that game back in the 90s. And then the Dreamcast obviously kind of set the stage for the next stage of online interactivity, and we are today.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah,
That's
I know way too much stuff than I should have.
that's good. I've never heard
Yeah.
of that before.
Yeah, I remember I lived it. I mean, I was a born kid in Ohio. I didn't have much to do, and then nobody introduced me to music till I was a teenager, and then, well, my music collection blew up.
I mean, I feel like if you didn't have the internet in the 90s, like I got the internet towards the end of the 90s, it was hard to like learn about that stuff because the internet just brings you so much information.
Well, so when I was a teenager, I used to watch Behind the Music in the summer because I had nothing to do by myself. So I have like an encyclopedic knowledge of music due to VH1. It's like, oh, there's a history of punk. Well, I got nothing else to do. And then I remember we went to Hot Topic once, me and a friend, and I was like, hey, there's a Black Flag album up there. And they're like, who the hell's Black Flag? I'm like, I want that. And the manager's like, you know what that is? I'm like, yes. They're like, okay, I'll get it for you. And then I went home and plugged it into my old crappy stereo that we had since I was like 5.
Yeah, that's the thing about technology. It seems like kids or younger,
Oh, my sister has kids, and she was like, think she was so clever. It's like, oh, I'm gonna track my kid's location, ha ha ha, on their phone. I'm like, you realize they're probably like 6 steps ahead of you. They're telling you where they want you to be. They don't tell you where they actually are.
Yeah,
They're where they want you. They're where they want you to think you are.
yeah, that's true. That's true. It's just like they adapt so quickly.
Oh yeah, because it's like when my dad got a computer, he was like, I don't know how to do this. And I'm like, okay, we can do this now. What do you mean? I just did this, and this. Huh. Or my dad got a BlackBerry, like one of those. Remember the old Blackberries? My dad's like, "Oh, I'm gonna get you a BlackBerry too," and I'm like, "Oh, okay. I don't know why." And then I was talking with somebody I'm like, "Yeah, my old man got me a BlackBerry." He's like, "Well, you're a fucking dumbass." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He bought you one for tech support.
That's
So
funny.
I'm like, oh,
Smart though. It's
yeah, it
that
was. I'm
is
like, damn, that's good. I didn't even think about that.
that's
So
funny.
yeah, at one point, it's like I was running tech support at my house to the point where I now say it's like, if you want me to do anything technical, I can't because I was trained specifically for my father's problems. Like, I can't fix anything other than old man at 80.
I mean, there might be a lot of people out there with those kind of problems. I think you'd still be useful, you know?
Well, my father managed to block himself from the internet, and he was using the computer that was accessing the internet.
Oh, wow.
So that's what I'm talking about. That's like, even my friend Spike, I told him that once. He's like, he worked at a Best Buy. Could you bring your father up? I'm like, what do you mean? We kind of want to run tests. It's not that like he's like, we just kind of want to run tech support tests so we know what to deal with. It's like we could use him as a variable.
That's a pretty like powerful job position, getting somebody to test like UIs and stuff, like how people are gonna use it.
Yeah, to break it and then fix it.
Break it. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So what games do you play?
No doubt, as you figured out from what we've talked about, fighting games.
Yep.
Yeah, my favorite game of all time, with if we're gonna do a shoot from the hip type situation, is Super Metroid.
Okay.
Super Metroid, I know that game like the back of my palm. Like I can drop that in years later, not even miss it.
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't know where all the items are, but I know where to go with this and go to that and da 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 da. So I play fighting games. I'm predominantly 2D, though I kind of venture into 3D with Tekken and Soul Calibur every so often, but I generally kind of keep to the old school with that. I play I play like third person games like your Uncharted, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Really looking forward to that sequel.
Oh,
Really looking
me
forward to that.
too. It
Yeah.
looks beautiful. Yeah,
Oh,
I can't
cannot
wait.
wait for that. Like I'm planning vacation days around that. I'm starting to think. My wife's looking at me like, "You're doing what now?"
I just bought a Switch because of it. Like I don't
Yeah.
even want any Nintendo games, but like that's the only
I
one.
would actually probably say my favorite game series would probably be Legend of Zelda, just because of the amount of time I have bought things. Like I own 2 copies of Breath of the Wild. I own one for the Wii U and I own one for the Switch. I have Link to the Past. I beat that fucker in French on the Super Nintendo because I had a French copy somehow.
French? Why French?
So I don't know if you remember, there was a store back in the day called Kmart,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and I lived up in the Cleveland area, so that's over the border more or less, kind of like with the. And I guess they got a
Oh,
shipment
I
of games in. I don't
see.
know how that were in French. And I remember I bought the game, so I wanted to buy it. And my dad's like, "Hey, you know this is in French, right?" And I'm looking at the text like, "Oh no, it's not. No, it's not. I can get it." And I wasted my whole allowance on a Legend of Zelda game in French. And my dad kind of looked at me like, "Well, you bought it, you own it. Figure it out, buddy." So I beat the
Wow.
Legend of Zelda Link to the Past in French.
Did you like figure out how to read any of it or not really?
Kind of figured out how to do it. I was like, I kind of know roughly where to go, and I'm just gonna kind of wing it.
Okay. So you didn't really get like the full experience in the story. Did you ever go back to play it?
I actually own a copy now in English for my Super
Okay.
Nintendo, and I think there's like 10,000 copies on the Switch and all that. So I played my fair share of it. I
Okay.
remember at,
Well,
I
that's
remember at
good.
the time I talked to somebody about it at a game store. They're like, "Yeah, you didn't miss anything. There was not much of a story to that game. You didn't miss anything. You got great gameplay. That was about it." So I'd say if we're gonna go by franchise favorite, I would say Zelda's probably my favorite, followed closely by maybe Street Fighter or King of Fighters. That one's a hard one to gauge. My favorite game of all time is definitely Super Metro. Last Generation. I'm trying to think of what last generation game I would say would probably be my favorite, and I would have to say the Spider-Man game for the PS4 because I just played the living crap out of that.
I thought the Spider-Man games were all really well done.
Like that's the same year God of War came out, and my wife and I actually had a long fight because she's a huge God of War fan. She's like, "That's a better game." I'm like, maybe better, but it's personal preference. Spider-Man's better. I'm sorry. I mean, I get it. It was a great game. God of War, the reboot, was a great game. but I like Spider-Man better, so that's my preference.
They were very different games. It's kind of hard to compare them
Yeah.
against each other.
I will say the last game of the God of War Ragnarok might have been my favorite game of last year, though, because that one was very well done.
Yeah, I've seen
Yeah.
people streaming it. I haven't played it yet. No spoilers, but yeah, it
Oh,
looks really
I
amazing.
I will say it's how do I put this? There are characters you will play as that will surprise you, not in a bad way, but it's like I didn't expect that, but it makes sense. And they also overstay their welcome in a sense, but we'll just leave it at that. Loki or not Loki, Odin might have actually been my favorite character from that game because it's like imagine you took Hades from Hercules and put
Uh-huh.
him in Odin, and then it's like that used car salesman, just like buddy guy, but it's Odin, and it works so well for that character. It's like I kind of liked Odin, like he was a huge raging asshole, but I liked him. But you'll see when you play the game, and we can
Yeah,
do another talk about that down the road if you want.
so do you have a favorite stream you like to think back on?
I'm generally proud of like I would say my main focus is obviously the Saturday podcast, and everyone is unique, and I'm proud of each one. I've I kind of go back and look over and see like what could we do better, or what we could work, or what we did well, and I come out finding more positives than negatives in all the right ways. Like there are small things we obviously need to work on. That's always going to be the case, especially if you're a perfectionist. And we're doing very well. I feel like we've hit a very good dynamic, and we've had problems. We always do. That's the nature of streaming. You will always have to work with what you have in the moment. You can't have pristine conditions. It's sort of like working in a battlefield. When the tank is not working, you have to make it work to get to the objective, and we do
Mm.
that.
Yep. Yep. No, I
So
agree. I agree.
I generally am proud of all. I think our show we did last night might have been one of the best. I don't know if it was the best, but it is definitely in the top 5 contention.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, because it was much more organic, and I usually try to set, like, a schedule so it's like I kinda know where to follow and where to keep people on track, and last night I was just so tired of like, "Ah, screw it, we're just gonna make it random," and it worked well, and that's a testament to our dynamic, our organic nature, but there was, like we also, I found, hit all the notes I wanted to hit that I was gonna write a summary of, we hit them, so I was generally happy, so it's like we're all in sync.
Yeah, I mean, the spontaneity and the randomness seems to like really work for you, and I think it gives your channel its edge for sure.
I would hope so, but I also know it can be very overwhelming to people who just drop in the middle. And I always say it's like I try to take a moment to sort of reset and also thank people that are lurking because lurkers are the backbone of Twitch, whether you want to admit it or not. Like, yeah, you want people to chat. Yeah, you want people to interact with you. But you don't get what you get without the people that are just tuning in and putting in the background. Like we have bumpers we recorded that we're gonna make a little like emotions or like commercial breaks for our channel in. And one of them I wrote was, "You're watching Magic Ninja Robot. Your background noise since 2022." And
I like that.
yeah, and it's just I always try to say I want a community that we are very organic, we can all help each other. One of the big people we have actually 2 people we've actually really kinda gotten in contact with, Misu the Witch. My wife and her are kinda clicking, and she was actually one of our first big followers and one of our first big cheerleaders.
Oh,
And I am very grateful for her, and, I try to make sure, we're there for her if she needs it, but we try very hard to kinda keep track of things. Another person, I think you and me have this person in common, is, Savior 0420.
oh
He,
yeah.
I kinda credit him with me getting into the Discord and meeting somebody like you, for example. I credit him with a lot, and I even sent him a message on a New Year's like, "Hey, I really appreciate you kinda helped us out when we didn't realize we needed it, and you kinda made us better," and
Oh,
he's
I
like,
bet he didn't like that.
yeah, he's like, "You don't have to thank me." I'm like,
He
"No,
does
but
not
you."
like people
He
saying
does
thank
not
you
like
at
praise, he does not like
all.
praise, but in all fairness, he does a lot of stuff for a lot of people
He
that people
does.
don't see, and
He
I
does.
know Xavier's gonna hate this part of this, I'm sorry, man, but you need to take a victory lap because a lot of people would not be an affiliate right now if you did not hook them up the right way, and we're close to it, and it's because of him, and I don't it's also because of my team, obviously. I don't wanna dissuade and say it's like, "Oh, it's a," but on a networking side, it's 100% he opened the door to us. He gave us our first raid also.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, my wife was like, "Oh, we have a raid," and that's when he sent the Discord invite, and the rest is history. But there's a lot of people. It takes a village to make a community, in my opinion, and I'm always open to. I'm trying to get our stuff sorted on our end first, and branching out to join out and like do collabs with other creators down the road. So, but I want people to be able to go, "Oh, it's Magic Ninja Robot. Well, they're a quirky little bunch, but they got some interesting things. Let's just see what they're doing." Or, "Well, I got work to do. I got a couple hours here. You know what? I'm just gonna throw on TBD and just have it in the background as I work." I mean, if I get that type of interaction from people, it's victory for me. I kind of view it as like the people that interact are the people that correspond, like our network affiliates. The Nielsen ratings are the lurkers. They're the ones that just want to do their thing and, they don't want to interact, but they appreciate what we do. And I always make sure the lurkers are taken care of. That's the one important thing. And the
Yeah.
people that interact, obviously, we kind of give more stuff to. But, I also, the foundation's there. And the lurkers and the people that just buzz by are the ones that I want to make sure feel welcome and don't feel intimidated because streaming can be very intimidating when you're not sure what's going on. Yeah. I don't know what else. And I know Savior, again, sorry, you're going to hate that, but it's the truth, whether
It
you
is
like
the
it or
truth.
not.
No, I agree 100%.
Yeah. And I'm sure he's going to curse me out for that, probably.
I don't think so. I think he's too
That,
nice for
that
that.
damn Brandon had to go off and praise me up.
Okay, so what are your goals and vision for your Twitch community and channel?
I would actually like to down the road maybe host a tournament under the Magic Ninja Robot banner for fighting games. That's one of the goals I would actually kind of like to do. I would also kind of like to get my wife a little more work. I'm not going to lie. She's a artist and all that stuff. And a couple of people she's networked with. If you need some stuff, you know where to find her. She's at Draws Illy. Sorry for the plug, but she does art and all that stuff. Commissions are always open. I'm sorry, I have to plug it.
No, I get you. You can help
Yeah.
people when you can.
Yeah, and I would like to just be able to have a community where we can all have a good time and everybody feels welcome, like I said, and experiment, see where we can do things. Because if you haven't noticed, we're very random at our channel, and I want to kind of let that randomness run rampant within reason. Like, be respectful, but we want to be able to speak our own thing. I would like to get the YouTube channel going because I want to do commentary on like stuff in the gaming world and pop culture. Just like, I guess, like John Oliver on Last Week Tonight would be a good example. Just like long form pieces where it's just I vamp for 20 minutes and, make jokes and just kind of share my opinion.
Mhm.
That's a goal I would like to get to this year. And yeah.
Great, sounds great. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how your Twitch channel and your YouTube channel are gonna evolve.
Yeah. I am too. You probably want to know a little more about me, I'm sure, after all that.
Yeah, I mean, I do want to delve into like your teching experience more since we both play Tekken.
Mm.
I'd love to ask you more questions about that. It seems like we're running out of time. Talk
Uh,
more about like what you do outside of gaming.
I can touch on that really quick here,
You
actually. I won't
okay?
take long.
Great, sure.
Yeah. What I do outside of that is I obviously hang out with my wife. She's actually sitting adjacent to me over here doing her thing. I did martial arts for like 15. I taught it actually for a long time too. I think I taught it for like 10 years. I started when I was 15. I have a black belt in Kempo. I actually trained at the Green Ranger School at one point. Never met him. I never met him. No, I mean, I never met him. He was never at the damn building. Yeah, he passed away, but that's a whole different story for another day. But I kind of want to get back into martial arts just because it's something for me to do and I kind of like moving around and stuff.
Yeah.
My wife and I are actually working on, and this is another reason we did Magic Ninja Robot, is we wanted to do like a collaborative thing where it was like we could publish like our own works under our own branding. And the story, me and my wife have been working on a story since I think the pandemic started where it's like sexualized cyberpunk is about the best way I can explain it. Like it's a futuristic story. You find that there are this servant class that is trained to do things and it's after a post-apocalyptic war, so we're all kind of rebuilding. It's all dystopian, crazy stuff. And the story is pretty much written. It's just tightening it up at this point, and I'm still finding. The story's gone from a short story to a 3-arc epic.
Wow.
Yeah, it's taken a life of its own, and I'm trying to clean that up. But I'm hoping to get some of that published maybe this year.
Wow, that's exciting.
Yeah, she's doing the art for that. She's written up all the characters and all that. If you follow her on Twitter, you've seen the characters already, probably, because I try to write myself. Yeah, I'm a raconteur, I guess you could say.
So I got one last question for you, and then I'd love to get your socials from you.
Okay.
So your surprise question is, the zombie apocalypse is coming. What do you do?
Lock the door to my garage because it's a 2-story building and just hunker down. And if we need to get stuff, I got a food place. I got all the food places around me. I can supply food. And as long as they don't climb, I think we're okay for a few months. And then we can kind of move on from there.
Sounds like a plan. So where might people be able to find you?
You could find me in a lot of places. Obviously, you could find me at Magic Ninja Robot on Twitch, on Twitter as well. We are Magic Ninja Robot. My personals, I'm on Twitter at BTPH. I kind of function there more as it's a job situation. I'm actually on Mastodon. Do you know what Mastodon is?
So what is it?
That is the decentralized social network alternative to Twitter. I actually kind of bumped in there because I was sick of Twitter, and I've enjoyed it. It's actually on our link tree, which you can find at MNR P00 on Linktree. You can find all of our links there.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah, and but I do try to get on it. I'm one of those people on Twitter that if you interact with me, I will interact back. It's not that I don't
That's
want
a
to. It's
threat.
just okay, go ahead. You got all. I mean, my wife and I think Vashti like you that do. So go ahead. But if I post there, it's not that I don't want to post there. It's more I kind of it's work to me on Twitter, and that's not a knock on Twitter. It's just what everything going on there right now. It's a little nutty.
It is nutty. It's hard to not use it though because it does give you that exposure.
I'm of the opinion that everybody's screaming about, "Oh, we're going to leave Twitter," and I'm like, "You're not leaving Twitter. You're
Nobody's
not.
leaving.
It's too
Yeah, a
ingrained."
lot of people aren't leaving
Yeah.
Twitter.
So it's like you can scream all you want. I'll see you in 5 minutes. It's like if you went to it's like you keep going to the same place for dinner. I think at one point some friends of mine were like, "Well, we keep going to the same place." Like, yeah, and I'll see you there in 5 minutes. Sure enough, 10 minutes later, there they are. Like, yeah, we came. Shut up. So, but yeah, that's you can find me on those places. I forget what my Mastodon one is here. I think it's still at btph.mastodon social or something like that. But it's on the link tree, so you can definitely find it there. I don't want to post it on Twitter more because the great Musk bot might actually say "fuck you," so that could be a problem.
Thank you so much for your time and being here and being willing
Thank
to
you for
talk with
having
me.
me. I had a
Yeah.
great time, and
Oh
I
yeah,
guess there
me
will.
too. It was really great getting to learn more about you and your channel.
Yeah, I guess there will be a part two for what I'm gathering too.
Oh
So we'll work
yeah,
on
yeah.
that.
I didn't get through all the questions, so yeah, we're definitely gonna have to talk some more.
Yeah, and you guys can find me on Twitch. Obviously, I'm obviously on Saturdays. I guess Tuesdays we're doing a half-ass show with me and my wife. So that's more of a behind-the-scenes show of the channel. Like we kind of talk about more of the behind the scenes of how we're doing things and just general kind of midweek stuff.
That's pretty cool. I like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, but yeah, I will definitely be in touch. And again, thank you so much for having me. It's been fun.
Yeah, it's been awesome. Thank you so much for your time.
Happy to do it.
There's so many streamers and streaming styles out there. I'm glad we got a sneak peek into the world of Magic Ninja Robot. Maybe one of these days we can get the whole team in. If you're not following them, please do. Their link tree is in the description, and thanks to Brandon again for taking the time to sit down. I do the graphics, interviews, and editing myself, and your support will help me to continue to do what I love. If you'd like to help and support, please check out my Patreon page. This will give you access to some of the footage I had to cut from this interview at the discretion of the streamer. Also, feel free to stop by my Twitch and Discord to leave comments, suggestions, or to just say hi. Next week, we're starting a two-parter with Smokeahanas. My music today was brought to you by DJ Kern. She's an up-and-coming music producer, so stay tuned for more from her. Thank you again, and I appreciate you all. Take care.
I would love to have you
Yeah.
back.
My wife will probably jump in too, maybe if you want.
Oh, it would be great to have both of you, or even if
Okay.
you want the whole group there. I mean, we could have you all talk
That
about.
might be a little chaotic for you because
yeah,
you see it when I try to rate everybody in. Imagine doing that without four of us. Like I'm the filter, and it's like now you have to filter. It's like, oh, I want to see how this goes.